What's up, YouTube? Mike from Mass here, Mass Aquarium, standing next to my gorgeous 135 tank. Got a little plantage coming up here. Oh well, who cares about that little tiny thing? What I want to talk about tonight is water changes. I have so many comments in my videos about what kind of water changes, how much do you do, what do you do on all your tanks? You know, there's broad spectrum comments. How often do you change your water in your tanks? How often do you change your water in your saltwater tanks? There's no really great answer. Some people like to do water changes once a weekly. On all their tanks, and they get it all done in one day. If you have tons of tanks, maybe you'll do 5 on one day, the next day, the next day, the next day, all on a weekly basis. The way I do it is I do what works for the tank, and I start off with doing the least amount of water changes, and I work my way down to when I actually need to do them. And in this video, I'm going to show you how much and how often I do water changes on all the tanks in my house, so stay tuned. It also takes a huckleberry.
Fucking with the tanks, if you will, excuse my language.
I just like messing with this tank to see what I can get away with as far as corals and what survives well in a saltwater small tank. Now, the fish are fine. I have an auto top off. The salinity, the temperature, the nitrates, nothing changes as far as that goes because I am running chemical filtration. I just like to see what I can get away with this tank. Now, on the other hand, my 40-gallon saltwater tank, I am religious about. I do water changes every 7 to 10 days, and I never go past 10 days. This is just what works on this tank. I do not want to mess with it. It has been running so good for so long. Where's that Aquari clip? Aquari clip! I love showing the, put this thing on. Sorry. Bear with me. Take out all the blues, and that looks really cool. So, this is my 40-gallon breeder. 7 to 10 days water change. Never go past 10 days. Maybe once or twice, but this thing is always been running perfect, and why change your water change schedule when it's unnecessary? I do not like to experiment with this tank. It's been running for too long, and I just don't want to do it. Now, the 135 plus the sump. I don't like to do water changes too often, but I don't like to wait too long. Even though this is a large volume of fresh water, Not only is it 135 gallons, but it's got about a 40-gallon sump, so let's call it 180. Roots on the pothos suck up plenty of nitrates, but I like doing water changes on this tank every 2 to 3 weeks. 3 weeks max. I like to pull out about 50% of the water. That seems to what has been working for this tank. I don't like to go any more. I don't like to just do a quick like 10-gallon. I like to get in there, gravel back the substrate really well, slowly with 5-gallon buckets, and then I stick a MaxiJet 1200 in here with the hose on it, and I suck out another 50 gallons and get those nitrates out of there. Especially when I start stocking this tank with some more fish. Gonna need that water change. And that is what works for my tanks. I have 4 tanks right now. At one point I had almost 20, but same thing. I know everybody likes to do water changes, sometimes weekly on every tank, sometimes daily on multiple tanks, depending on what kind of fish you have. Some people don't ever like to do water changes. I learn my tanks, see what works well for the tank itself, and that's when I do water changes for that tank. And that's how I've always done it for over 30 years, and that's where I'm going to continue to do it. So just a little lesson to learn. I'm out.